I'm making decisions because I'm running away versus chasing something. That's a difference. Are you running away out of fear? Are you running away out of fear? Or are you pursuing out of faith? There is a difference. We can so easily forget who we are. I know what that's like, to get lost, to be driven by fear. But in that moment, I realized, I said, I'm not making any more decisions based off of what I'm afraid of. I'm not making any more decisions based off the fact that I might be afraid of what's to come. It's not happening. I make decisions because I believe in who I am and I believe in what I can do. Fear versus faith. I was living in fear and I didn't even realize it until I realized it. And then I started thinking about how many choices have I really made because I was afraid versus because I had faith. And when I started looking at these fear-based decisions, I started realizing, man, these are some of the worst decisions that I've made in my lifetime. They were rooted in the fact that I was afraid of something. So I was either running away from something. I'm making decisions because I'm running away versus chasing something. That's a difference. Are you running away out of fear? Are you running away out of fear? Or are you pursuing out of faith? There is a difference. And when you're running out of fear, you're bound to run out of breath. When you're pursuing out of faith, you will find what's necessary to keep going. That's fear versus faith. We cannot afford to make decisions based out of fear, but yet we do this so often. Whether it be fear of our own family, what our parents might think, what our significant others might think, our kids, grandparents, aunties, uncles. We make so many decisions because we want to not rattle their cages. So many. Friends, our so-called friends all around us. We make so many decisions to make sure our friends are happy, even though we're not cool with the choice that we're making. We make so many decisions because of that fear being broke, that fear of scarcity, not having enough when God has given you everything you always needed. And then when it comes to freedom, what is freedom? We all see it so different. Fear versus faith. Do you make decisions because you're afraid, or do you make decisions because you believe? That alone, you could argue, is a definition of freedom. And then when it comes to our future, do you have faith or are you afraid? Fear versus faith. The future is not a place for the fearful. You have to believe, and that starts with yourself. You got to believe in you. There is no future if you don't believe in you. Fear versus faith. The whole point of this, I don't know if people really think about how aware they are when it comes to their decision-making process. Are you really aware of how much of your decision-making is based off of your fear versus your faith in what's coming? And how has that impacted your livelihood? Fear versus faith. Are you even aware that you're making decisions, and yet these decisions you don't even believe? You're afraid. You're making decisions because you're afraid, not because you believe in something. I think it's time that we make more faith-based decisions and stop doing things out of fear. What do you actually believe in versus what you're afraid of? That's a tough question to answer, but we got to think about it more often. What do we actually believe in? And when it comes to ourselves, what is it about yourself that you believe in, that you don't have to be fearful? You believe in yourself. Because I'm telling you now, as a married, I've been married going on a decade. Whole decade. And what I know, being married almost a decade, in my opinion, if you aren't comfortable enough to know that your partner can just wake up tomorrow and say, I'm done, if that's a problem for you, if your whole reason not to get married is out of the fear of divorce, you shouldn't be getting married. The fear of divorce should not stop you from getting married. Fear versus faith. Way too often I hear the reason as to why people don't get married is because of their fear of divorce. It's not a good reason to not get married.
It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter who you are in mind.
No.
You got to have faith in your decisions. That's the key to any of this. Do you even have faith in your choices? Or are you just fearful when you make the choice? Faith is critical. Fear is detrimental. We cannot afford to make those fear-based choices. I really want you to examine for your own personal lens how many of your choices are made out of some sort of fear-based decision. Afraid of the outcome, afraid of what the other person might think, afraid of what someone might say, or even afraid of how someone you love might feel. So you do something that you know isn't for you, but it's out of fear of a potential outcome. Have more faith in who you are. And if you are afraid of these other things, I would encourage you to embrace the fact that you have everything you need and there is nothing to be afraid of. That is a beautiful thing, knowing that you have everything you need and there is nothing to be afraid of.